That's why I rock with him.
Oh, that's nice. That's nice.
That's why I rock with JV, man.
JV.
And so we are back. Week 2, Sunday NFL afternoon game recap. You know what it is. It's JV. You're back on the JV show. While you're here, go ahead, like, comment, subscribe. Do your thing as you always do, because I've got content coming all season long for you. This is just the beginning, and I'm still pumped up. The NFL is still fresh in my mind. I'm looking forward to Sundays. Usually you look at Sunday, end of the weekend for most, you're dreading it. You're like, oh, Sunday is here. Now you encourage it. Now NFL rolls around. You're sitting on the couch for 10 hours a day watching ball. Life cannot get any better. Before we get things rolling, sponsored this year by Big Third Down Shop. They sent me a bunch of really sick hats. Got some content coming real soon from them. So stay tuned. Go ahead, check them out. They will be linked on my Instagram and all my posts. They'll be tagged, so go check them out. Show them some love. And without further ado, we got some really important stuff to get into, fellas. Kicking us off, Eagles, Chiefs. Little bit of a boring game, I'm not going to lie to you. Didn't expect it. I thought it might have been a little bit more high scoring considering the talent, especially on the offensive side for Philly. But there are some key takeaways we got, specifically on offense for both teams. Starting us off with Philly, and we know who they got. We know you got a Jalen Hurts, a dynamic quarterback, an A.J. Brown, a Devonta Smith, a Saquon Barkley, a great O-line. You bring in an A.J. Dillon. You just bring in Tank Bigsby. Like, there is a lot of talent and skill on that offense to work with. With that being said, you also got yourself a new offensive coordinator, Kevin Patullo. How's he looking? Well, I'll be honest with you. The Eagles don't look as dominating this year as they did last season. Now, it's only week 2. I'm not overreacting. I'm not going to say that they're a completely different team and they're not making the Super Bowl. They are still my Super Bowl favorites. Let me make that very clear. It's only week 2. But I'm slightly concerned about the offensive play calling. It is very vanilla, and that is back-to-back weeks. A.J. Brown has been held to under 30 yards, and Devonta Smith and A.J. Brown haven't hit 100 yards combined this season yet. Again, only 2 games. But there is too much talent on this offense for it to fail and only put up 20 points. Because in my opinion, 20 points, that's not enough for an offense of this caliber. And I think all Eagles fans would agree with me when I'm saying that. Saquon Barkley, still a dog, still producing for you. But you've got to get the pass game going. Because this isn't going to cut it against better teams. You'll probably face similar caliber defenses to the Chiefs, maybe a little bit better down the stretch, and you will certainly play better offenses. Now, that Philly defense, it looks pretty good. There are still secondary questions besides Quinyon Mitchell and Cooper DeJean. So you got to clean that up. But as for Philly right now, from what I've seen, they look good. Right? They certainly look like a playoff team. And they're a Super Bowl contender. But you got to give yourself a little bit more. Last year, Philly dominates that game. This year, they didn't exactly do that. They let the Chiefs hang in there when they were clearly the more talented team. You cannot tush-push your way to a Super Bowl. You got to give us more. The offense has to be more dynamic. Considering the talent you got, it's got to be better. But they are still my Super Bowl favorites. Let me make that very loud and clear because of how much talent they got, because of the offense, because of the defense, the history. They're the number 1 team in the league right now. Philly is the team to beat, but I'm just slightly concerned about the play calling. They got to clean that up. As for the Chiefs, I'm just a little bit more concerned about Kansas City, all right? It looks like Mahomes and friends out there, right? Mahomes needs help as soon as possible, right now. Mahomes needs help right now. Send an SOS out. Go get Tyreek Hill. You need a playmaker on offense. Mahomes can't do it by himself. I said the exact same thing, word for word, last week. Travis Kelce is old. He is not the older Travis Kelce. He's not the old version of Travis Kelce. He's old now. He can still be a security blanket for you for sure, but he drops a pass, he gets intercepted, and I just don't think he's got the juice anymore, evidently. Right? Mahomes is great. Don't get me wrong. I watch him. He's a playmaker. He gets things done. But you cannot have Patrick Mahomes as your leading rusher in back-to-back weeks. You cannot ask Patrick Mahomes to sling the rock, throw for 350 yards, and be your leading rusher and win the game for your offense. Every week, it is Mahomes and whoever else you can find to put together a team to go to battle. And this is the worst the Chiefs have looked in a real long time. They need help. Last year, they were winning these games. They were winning these close, tough-fought battles. Few calls might have gone their way. They take over. This year, they're starting 0-2. They don't look very good. They don't look well put together. I don't even know who Mahomes is throwing to. They need help right now. And again, I said it last week, if I was Brett Veach, I would call Tyreek Hill today and figure something out. Because Miami's going nowhere. And the Chiefs would really benefit from bringing in a guy that already knows the system, that can slot in and explode for your offense. I think it's key for them. Moving back, we're going to go 12 p.m. games now, over to the 3 p.m. games. Kicking us off, what a frickin' game. Cowboys, Giants. Cowboys 40, Giants 37. It goes into overtime. Who would have thought it was going to be the game of the week? Now, obviously, we still got Sunday night and Monday night football to roll. A few games on Monday night football, actually, which is great. But what a game. I mean, I'm watching on the edge of my seat. I didn't even catch the first 5 to 7 minutes of that Philly-Chiefs game because I'm paying attention to Russell Wilson back in his prime, balling against Dak Prescott, who looks elite. It was awesome, man. And I think from both quarterbacks, really from both teams, we saw some really encouraging stuff. I mean, you start with Russell Wilson. Russell Wilson hit the time machine and looked like prime Russ today. It was unreal. It was vintage Russell Wilson. Scrabbling outside the pocket, letting moon balls go. It was everything and more. 30 of 41, 450 yards, 3 touchdowns, and an interception. Russ threw strike after strike after strike. He had very few mistakes through 4 quarters of football. And it was moonball after moonball after moonball, and they couldn't stop it. It was classic. Full effect moonball from Russell Wilson today. You hit Malik Neighbors for a dime touchdown. What a phenomenal catch, by the way. We're going to get into Malik Neighbors right away. You hit Darius Slayton down the sideline for a real nice fade. You hit Wan'Dale Robinson for another dime at the back of the end zone. And then Malik Neighbors in double coverage to almost win the game. But Brandon Aubrey obviously comes in, puts it into overtime, and then the rest is history. Look, Russ has not looked that good in years. He obviously heard me talking about him last week, calling for Jackson Dart to enter the game and to bench Rush. And he balled out. I don't think you can consistently count on that from Russell Wilson. Because when you do look at it, he is somewhat of a one-trick pony. I mean, you take away the moon ball, and is he really great at anything else? I don't know. He used to be a true dual-threat quarterback. He's a little older now, into his late 30s. I don't know how much he can produce on a week-in, week-out basis with his legs. But man, did he look good today. He had an answer for every single point the Cowboys put on the board. And he threw a really bad pick, which probably lost them the game in overtime. But the offense put up 37 points. You cannot blame Russell Wilson. He did his job. He did more than his job, matter of fact. So, I mean, you want to talk about the Giants, and we'll get into them as a team after we dissect a few more performances specifically from that team. But they looked really good, and that was an encouraging game from this Giants team. A few receivers I wanted to note. I talked about them earlier on in the offseason. Matter of fact, I did some film study on them. If you haven't seen that, go ahead, check out the page. Did a few film studies during the offseason. Really going to get that rolling probably next season. Offseason gets a little dry, I'll be honest with you. Malik Neighbors and Wan'Dale Robinson. All right, I need to let you know something, okay? Malik Neighbors and Wan'Dale Robinson are the most underrated receiver duo in the league. I might have said that last week about Keenan Allen and Ladd McConkey. I think Malik and Wan'Dale edge them out just slightly. All right? Malik Neighbors is a top 10 receiver in football, arguably top 5. People called me crazy when I said that before the season began. And now we're watching it unfold. The body control, the body positioning, the athleticism to make 2 of those grabs downfield. The first one early in the game, deep shot from Russ, and the second in double coverage, which should have been the game-sealing touchdown. Malik Neighbors, when you watch him run routes, he is smooth as can be. There are no indicators in his game. He ran a phenomenal route last week that I actually put on my story. It was an out route, little post. He sold the post, acceleration, bam, got out. Incredible. Malik Neighbors does everything for this offense. You can play him wherever, across the middle, short, long. He has the ability to break off a 5-yard curl into a 90-yard touchdown and go over the top and head top a DB for a 70-yard fade touchdown. He can do it all. And then you got Wan'Dale Robinson, who is the perfect complementary piece to a true number 1 dog like Malik Neighbors. A guy that functions in the slot, that is super shifty, but is now showing us the ability to go deep and make plays happen on 30 or 40-yard bomb touchdowns, like he did today with Russell Wilson. This duo can cause serious problems for defenses. And then you got Darius Slayton, who is much more than just a serviceable wide receiver 3. Really solid. So what I saw from that Giants receiving core is exactly what I thought they would be this year. And they're just getting started. It's week 2, man. And they cooked that Dallas secondary. So, I'm watching the Giants. I'm watching this offense. Defense at points looked really good. I'm going to be honest with you. Like, obviously, Cowboys put up 40. Wasn't their best performance. But there were moments where you're like, oh, this pass rush. Yeah, they're making some noise on Dak. Oh, yeah, that secondary. Yeah, they can probably play. And then they got burned later on in the game, right? Like, it happens. You're playing CeeDee Lamb. You're playing George Pickens. One of the best duos in the league right now. Chill out, right? I still think the defense is at minimum average, probably above average with that front 7. But I'm watching the Giants as a team, and I'm just thinking to myself, this is encouraging. The New York Giants are a good football team. They're extremely underrated. You got Russell Wilson, who played an incredible game against the Cowboys. But even if it's not Russ, you got a Jackson Dart, who can come in and probably win you multiple games on the season. You've got a phenomenal receiving core. Your running backs are great. Tyrone Tracy, Cam Scatterbo. Scatterbo broke off a monster run and punched in a touchdown for them today. And the defense, I think it has the potential to be top 12 in the league at its best. There is certainly the talent to do that, especially that front 4. You got your Brian Burns, your sexy Dexy Lawrence, Abdul Carter. They were causing Dak some trouble today. But, praise to Dak. He did really well handling it. And he made things happen. We'll get into Dak right away. But I think as a team, if the defense gets things going and the quarterback play stays consistent, the Giants could be a problem. They got a really tough schedule this year. And I predicted them to go 8-9, and I still think that's attainable. If they can play like this, or maybe even 70% of this on a week-to-week basis, oh yeah, they're a problem. Oh yeah, last week against the Commanders, people are going to tell you they had a terrible day. I don't really think so. I thought there were a lot of opportunities to go out and put points on the board, and Russell Wilson just folded. He didn't look good last week. That's why I was calling for Jackson Dart to come in. And you know what? Speaking of that, can we talk about Jackson Dart coming into the game when Russ was hot as a flame? Does Brian Daboll want to lose his job? Like, Brian Daboll is coaching like he wants to be fired. Who on earth brings in a rookie quarterback when your veteran is hot as a flame for his first snaps in the regular season? I was confused. I was wondering, is Russ injured? Is he out for the game? Why is Jackson Dart in the game? For multiple snaps. And then Russ comes in and throws a dime. These are the coaching decisions that make me scratch my head with Brian Daboll. You know, I've said great things about him. I've said that he's potentially saving his job in New York with the draft picks that they've made and the coaching that he's done. He's highly praised for the job he did with Josh Allen back in the day. But these decisions, man, I'm at a loss of words. I don't know what to say. Poor Jackson Dart you bring in a heated divisional game for no reason. You've got 2019 Russ in action, or whenever he was in his prime, the last year of his prime. You've got the best version of Russell Wilson we've seen in years, and you bring in Jackson Dart for what reason? For what reason? You tell me. Didn't make any sense at all. But at the end of the day, went to overtime, lost it. Cowboys prevail. Let's talk Dak Prescott, right? Dak Prescott has returned back to his peak form. That's 2 straight impressive performances from Dak Prescott. 38 of 52, 360 yards, 2 touchdowns, and an interception. Dak was responding with confidence, and he is tough as nails. Dak is a leader of men. We can clown the Cowboys for giving him $60 million a year, but I can say one thing for certain. Dak Prescott is a leader, and that team rallies around him. His leadership, his toughness, his next play mentality is great. He doesn't let the previous play seep into the rest of his performance. He can throw an interception, go back out there, and he is still throwing with confidence, with velocity, with strength. And you got to love that from a quarterback. Next play mentality. He rallies his troops around him, and he goes out there and he wins big-time games. He's got to be one of the most confident passers in the league. For sure. He throws the ball with a direct plan in mind to his receiver, regardless of whether it's a good or bad throw. You can just tell he's got confidence on it. He's not just laying it out there sometimes like we see a Brock Purdy do, floating it out there. He's putting zip on the ball, down the field. Whatever happens, it happens. But Dak is a guy I would be comfortable having as like the personality at the forefront of my franchise. And I think after seeing these last few weeks with him, you're lying if you're saying Dak has not impressed you so far this year. He's clicking with CeeDee Lamb. He balled out last week, and CeeDee Lamb kind of sold the bag. And just wait as the George Pickens connection grows and grows and grows, because that was getting better as the game went on. And you know what? I'm sitting there, I think, at halftime thinking, hey, they brought in George Pickens, probably a 1-year deal because he's up for a contract next year. You got to make things happen. Get him involved. And that happened late in the game. Scored a big-time touchdown. Hit him on a few big-time slants. It was huge. But I'm telling you, this is a statement from Dak Prescott. He's not gone. Are the Cowboys contenders? Far from it. Far from it. They're not close yet. Defense? Oh, we'll talk about them right away. But Dak looks really good. As for that terrible performance from that defense and Matt Eberflus, I got to tell you, Matt Eberflus, what on earth did we just watch? You know Russell Wilson's specialty is the moon ball. How do you get torched for 37 points by Russell Wilson in his late 30s? He threw for 450 yards on your defense. He's a one-trick pony, and you were burned time and time again. This Cowboys offense has not looked this good in a long time. And this is how the defense is stepping up to complement that performance. Brutal. I get it. You're missing a guy like Micah Parsons. It sucks. That is absolutely understood. But that was an embarrassing performance. DBs torched. Run game, it was all right. But they held the run game to a minimum for sure. But you knew the passes were coming. You know you got a guy like Malik Neighbors on the other side of the ball. How was Malik Neighbors coming down with double coverage fade balls? That just cannot happen. How are shots getting over top of your DBs? How are shots getting over top of your secondary late in the game when you know the Giants are going end zone? Matt Eberflus, I'm calling your name. You got to be better. That was a sad performance. But no worries. Brandon Aubrey saved your ass. Brandon Aubrey should be in the MVP conversation. That's how good the performance was today. It's unreal the asset Brandon Aubrey is for the Dallas Cowboys. Having a kicker that can hit from unlimited range is so valuable for the Cowboys. Because every time they touch the ball, they know their chances of putting points on the board is just that much more than the majority of teams that they face. He single-handedly won them the game, put them into overtime, and then won them the game in overtime. I believe he was drafted to the MLS, and to make the transition to football, to become the best kicker in the league right now, incredible story. The Cowboys have screwed up big time on a lot of contracts and players these past few years. The one thing they got right was Brandon Aubrey. Well done signing this man, because he has balled out for your team. Great game, Cowboys, Giants. Cowboys win. Giants fall to 0-2. But positive things, I think, for both teams we can take away. Next up, we had Lions 52. Chicago Bears 21. Caleb Williams. Man, everyone's favorite topic. He got dogged on all offseason long. Like, everyone just ripping on the kid. Okay, right? Like, you can look at his practice clips throwing at a stationary net, one rep out of the entire offseason, out of training camp, and bash him. Whatever. I don't buy into that BS. I look for production on the field. And last year, I thought it was a decent season. But the coaching was bad, and you had Jaden Daniels go to the conference championship, so how can you say Caleb was good, right? Whatever. When I'm assessing Caleb, I see the evident talent, but Caleb Williams needs to give us more. He needs to give us just a little bit more. The talent is unquestionably there. 100%. Like, you cannot debate me that Caleb Williams isn't talented enough to be a starting quarterback in the NFL. But that's not going to be enough for his career to be significant in Chicago. Too many passes are still hitting the dirt. The accuracy must improve for Caleb Williams. Whether it's low balls, whether it's behind the receiver, you got to fix that. But most importantly, For Caleb to take the next step, he needs to have the ability to take games over. You watch Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson, Mahomes in some instances, Joe Burrow at points. They can take over games and win it themselves for their team. I need to see that out of Caleb. In a divisional game today, it can't all be on script. He started week 1, 10 for 10. Started today, 8 for 10. But when it's not scripted, I need a beast to awaken in Caleb Williams. I need Caleb Williams to hit that next gear that others can't. I need to see him go to that next level and take over the game. Because a careless interception, when it doesn't need to happen, swings the momentum, and then you lose control of the game. You have to be perfect in some of these big-time games. And it's a big ask. And maybe it's unfair, but that's just reality. That's what we ask out of Josh Allen, out of Lamar, out of a lot of these guys. Caleb Williams, we need to see that. Keep in mind, though, it's the beginning of year 2. Josh Allen, Lamar, they've been around for a while. They've had a lot of these poor performances. Well, not even a poor performance, but times where they just haven't been perfect. They've been like 70%. With that being said, the defense was brutal. You allow 52 points. I'm not blaming it on Caleb Williams. I'm just making a point. He's got to be excellent on 2nd and 3rd and short. You got to convert, and you got to be lethal in the red zone. That's it, right? You got to be a killer in the red zone. So I think for Caleb, translate that talent into beast mode. Take over games. Show me that, and then I can confidently say yes, for sure, the future guy. As of right now, super talented. You can see him working with Ben Johnson. It's only week 2 with Ben Johnson. It will get better. Don't worry. Don't draw any conclusions based off that performance or the one we saw last week. It's only getting better. He's getting used to the offense, but I'd like to see him take over games eventually. As for that damn defense, I literally have LMFAO written on the notes here. Chicago's defense looked like a junior varsity team against the Lions. That was flat out embarrassing. Dennis Allen has to step things up. That defense was torn apart by St. Brown and JMO. It was a hard watch, no matter what Caleb Williams did. And I just said I want to see him take over games. They were losing that game. That defense did not show up to play football. It was unacceptable, especially from a defense that should at least be middle of the pack. You can't perform like that when you got talent to be a middle of the pack defense. And you knew what was coming. Everyone sitting on their couches at home saw the deep ball coming. Time after time after time, to JMO, to St. Brown, across the middle, over the top, and they could not stop it. The Lions kept driving the field. And you know, the Lions are a really good team. But I don't think they're the Lions of old. I don't think they're what they were last year. But they certainly look like that today. And they walked all over that defense. I think maybe we did not give enough attention to their performance last week against the Vikings. We're so infatuated with Caleb Williams and Ben Johnson that we've disregarded this defense playing terrible the last 2 weeks. Last week, 27 points allowed against a rookie quarterback, J.J. McCarthy. And this week, 52 against the Lions. Not going to cut it. As for Detroit, they dominated. I said Jared Goff couldn't do it without Ben Johnson, without a Sean McVay. He put up 52 points with that offense this week. Now it is the Bears. Green Bay really made him look like a one-dimensional quarterback that couldn't do much. But this week he looked great. This week the offense was firing on all cylinders. They deserved the win. Good stuff from Detroit. I mean, I can't say much else. They put up 52 points. Like, what are we doing, right? Big-time divisional win. The Bears are going to need those if they want to contend for the playoffs this year. Seahawks 31, Steelers 17. I think it was an evenly matched game. I think these were two teams that are around the mid-range of NFL teams that aren't going to win many games in the playoffs, but might contend for a wild card spot or something like that. Steelers held in it for the majority of the game. Aaron Rodgers came back to life. All right. He wasn't MVP Rodgers this week, but he was still solid, right? I have to give him credit. He is much better than I anticipated. 18 of 33, 200 yards, a touchdown, and 2 interceptions. He had multiple drops. One of them led to an interception in the red zone. So none of that helps, and none of that is shown on the stat sheet. So don't immediately flock to the box score and look at a few stats and just assume this is all on Aaron Rodgers, because it's not. But with that being said, Rodgers also can't put the ball in harm's way. Rodgers can't turn over the ball, especially when you're driving the field and you're in a deficit and you're far behind the Seahawks. He had a really bad pick near the end of the game, missed his receiver high, safety picked it off, and another really sketchy pass across the middle in the second quarter that should have been picked off and would have swung the momentum. So, to the pros, his playmaking is great for his age. He's moving the pocket better than I expected, and he's making things happen off balance, off platform. He's making big-time throws when he's outside the pocket, maneuvering around. He's doing great things. But again, no ground game, no number 2 option. The reality when you have a 4-year-old quarterback is you need a team around him to have elite offensive success. The offense put up 10 points today, and it's going to need to be better if they want to win in the playoffs. If not, well, you're going to get the Steelers special. You're going to get a consistent 9-8 wild card knockout. And man, you can smell it. You can taste another 9-8 season from the Steelers. It's on the way. The apple pie, you can see the scent like it is in the comics, just floating towards you. You're just sniffing. You're like, oh, it's coming. Oh, yeah, it's on the way. Oh, you can bet on it. Like I said, Rodgers looks solid, but he can't do it all alone. He's going to need some help. And I just don't think they have enough help to do it. The run game, complete disaster. Jalen Warren, Kenneth Gainwell, Caleb Johnson, there's nothing to love there. Very average, below average, you could argue. Protection is inconsistent, and the defense has allowed back-to-back 30-point games from pedestrian offenses. This Steelers team, when you look at it, when the Steelers play good teams, they're cooked. Like, they're not winning games against your Bills, against your Ravens, against Eagles, even the Chiefs. I don't think they're going to touch them. Caleb Johnson's gift to Seattle pretty much summed up what I expect from the Steelers this season. Few mistakes, few bounces that don't go their way, and just overall an average season from an average roster. And my question really becomes, how long do you hang on to Mike Tomlin if the Steelers lose again in the wild card? When does the decision happen? Especially if that defense doesn't hold up. They had a big turnover, which they turned into a touchdown today, but still, 31 points. Man, it's the Seahawks. 32 points last week. It's the Jets. We saw what they did against the Bills today. I'll spare you the details. It was nothing. All right? So, you got to step things up. As for Sam Darnold, he was solid. Sam Darnold deserves more praise. He wasn't just a one-year wonder in Minnesota. I think, there are franchise quarterbacks in the league. There are guys like your Lamars, your Josh Allens, your Herberts, your Mahomes, even your Jaden Daniels. Like, you can tell that they're a franchise guy, that they could potentially win you a Super Bowl one day. I'm not saying Sam Darnold's a top 10 quarterback in the NFL. By no means is he close right now. But he's a gunslinger, and he can win you 8 to 10 games. 22 of 33, 295 yards, 2 touchdowns, and 2 interceptions today. We know who Sam Darnold has been in big moments. Last year in the playoffs, he was seeing ghosts. But he also makes some pretty incredible plays in games where it's really tight, where they need him to show up big, and he does. He completed a huge third down in the fourth quarter, then hit JSN with a dime downfield late in the game to pretty much seal the deal against the Steelers. So I get it. He's far from perfect, but I think you give yourself a shot to make the playoffs with Sam Darnold. I think he does good things for Seattle. And you're looking at Genome, looking at Sam Darnold, both pretty solid arms, came around later in their careers. I think you got something with Sam Darnold here. I'm not saying they're going all the way, but the defense looks pretty solid. They allowed 10 points today from that Steelers offense, created a red zone turnover. I think they could do some damage, maybe a wild card. Maybe, but that would be the extent of things. Another game I wanted to touch on, just a few topics here. Bengals 31, Jaguars 27. All right. How many times have I talked about the Cincinnati Bengals and them putting all their eggs in one basket? You knew at one point or another something would go wrong. When you're paying 4 stars, you got all your eggs in one basket. And if something goes south, you got a problem. The Bengals are paying the price for their offensive line. It was always just a matter of when was Joe Burrow going to get injured behind that offensive line. And now your future is sidelined because that front office is an embarrassment, and they refused to protect Joe Burrow. Burrow, Chase, Higgins, Hendrickson this year. Burrow is the lifeline of your franchise. And the team is hanging on by a thread. Weekly. By a thread. I don't know how they're 2-0 right now. And that's all because they refuse to protect their quarterback and build their defense. So Cincinnati made their bed, and now they got to lay in it. You don't want to protect Joe Burrow. You're suffering the consequences. Remember a few years ago when Jim Harbaugh went and drafted Joe Alt, despite everyone begging for an athlete, for an option, a receiver, maybe even a running back, whoever it was? The trenches matter, okay? The trenches are the key to success in the NFL. And that's what the Bengals don't understand. And they've failed to accomplish that year after year after year. They don't protect their quarterback. As a result, he's now injured. And you've got no chance at the playoffs without Joe Burrow. He will be back this year. And him and Jamar and T. Higgins, yes, they are great and they make flashy plays and it is awesome. But I don't care. I want championships. I don't want to be a team, if I'm Cincinnati or if I'm a fan, that is wanting to ride this crazy wave and hopefully we get some phenomenal juice that leads us into the playoffs. No. I want to be a consistent winning team because we got a franchise quarterback that can sling the rock like nobody else in the league. So, you got Joe Burrow injured now. He's out. Let's see what they can do with their backup. Won a big game today, though. Jaguars. Listen, you know my thoughts on Trevor Lawrence. I've said it multiple times. I've never been a big Trevor Lawrence guy. I just thought, landing in Jacksonville with Urban Meyer, it wasn't the best situation by any means. He's got Liam Cohen now. It looks a little bit better. But at this point, and I said it before the season started, and I'll say it again, the time is ticking for Trevor Lawrence. He's not the only one to blame for the loss against the Bengals, okay? BTJ, business decision, Brian. He dropped a few big-time passes, one of them leading to an interception. De'Ami Brown dropped a touchdown pass wide open in the end zone. There is plenty of blame to go around. But how many times do we see a Jaguars loss when Trevor Lawrence turns over the ball multiple times in the game? Maybe today he's not the front runner to blame. But we see this consistently happen game after game after game, where Trevor Lawrence puts the ball in harm's way. These are must-win games for the Jaguars. Joe Burrow is injured. You need to take over and get this W. It's year 5 for Trevor Lawrence. I need to see him take things over. And this is the thing I was kind of referring to with Caleb Williams, but he's in year 2. He's got lots of time to learn and develop. At this point, in year 5, for Caleb Williams, I would expect him to be a takeover guy. Right now, Trevor Lawrence needs to take over games. He needs to have the skill set to dominate and hit that next gear and take over the game. I just don't think he's got that. It's not a coincidence. It is not a coincidence that in games Trevor Lawrence turns over the ball again and again and again, they lose. And it happens all the time. So he's not the only one to blame today, but he certainly is a big part of the problem. He's got to protect that ball. End of story. Bills 30, Jets 10. We got 2 more games here I want to cover. I have no trust in Justin Fields. I said it before the season started. There is too much inconsistency. He had a great week last week. Okay, hooray. We had a great passing week from Justin Fields. He looked like a first-round talent. All right, what happens this week? Nothing. Nada. Absolute garbage. 3 of 11 and 27 total pass yards on the day for Justin Fields. That is disgusting. Justin Fields is a poor passer of the football, whether it's an accuracy issue, it's a ball placement issue, or just a poor throw. His arm does not have the consistency that you need in the NFL. End of story. We're gassing him up for his performance last week like he's a first-round talent, only for Tyrod Taylor to enter the game late today and have a better passing day than Justin Fields. This offense and this team is going nowhere with Justin Fields at the helm. The defense is not good enough to make up for the offensive mistakes. I mean, it's embarrassing. The Jets are a bye week for teams in the NFL. I'm not even talking Bills today. I'm happy. We took the dub. Cool, 30-10. Don't care. Honestly, barely even watched the game. You know why? You know why I barely watched the game? Because I see the New York Jets on the schedule. I check it off. I say win, move to the next. Non-problem for me. There are more fans at JV football games than the Jets had at the end of their game at MetLife. That was sad. And Justin Fields, again, like we talked about, is not the answer for this offense. All right? His legs aren't going to do it. His arm ain't going to do it. Not the answer. Jets are tanking for the number 1 pick. Last game we had up here, and man, you want to talk about like head scratching. Colts 29, Broncos 28. Colts miss the game-winning field goal. Zeros on the clock. Denver gets a penalty flag. Colts brought back on the field, nail the 45-yard field goal, whatever it was, win the game at home. Insane. All right, probably the most incredible story so far this season. Daniel Jones looks like Peyton Manning. Oh my goodness. Daniel Jones is 2-0. What world are we living in? That is back-to-back weeks. Daniel Jones has looked excellent. Not good, not great, not elite, excellent. 23 of 34, 316 yards, and a touchdown. He hasn't thrown 300 yards since 2023, and he did it today. He's 71.4 completion percentage with 600 yards passing and 2 touchdowns in the last 2 weeks. Now, don't get me wrong. He's got the benefit of an elite run game with JT. 25 carries today, 165 yards. But I got to be honest. The Colts made the right move starting Daniel Jones over Anthony Richardson. He is saving Shane Steichen's job, if that was even up in the air. Daniel Jones gives the Colts the best shot to win right now. That is an elite Broncos secondary that Daniel Jones made look pedestrian. That Broncos secondary did not know what hit them when Daniel Jones arrived. He is hitting spots all over the field, layering balls over the middle, and dropping deep shots with ease. Can he do it for 17 weeks of football? I have no clue, but right now it's incredible. Remember when Ryan Tannehill reinvented himself in Tennessee and went on that deep playoff run? I'm getting the same vibe through 2 weeks with Daniel Jones. Can he keep it up? That's the question of the week. We will see. That is a wrap on week 2, Sunday afternoon football with JV. We're clocking in at almost 50 minutes here. I'm going to get the Vikings game rolling. Cheering for J.J. McCarthy because we cheer for quarterbacks that do not get love, that deserve it. Brock Purdy, J.J. McCarthy, Caleb Williams. We got to support those guys because nobody will do it if we don't. So we're going to get that rolling right now. As always, thank you so much for joining. It's been a phenomenal Sunday. We are filming tomorrow night, Monday Night Football, Sunday Night Football recap with my guy Steven again. He'll be back on the show. We're going to get things rolling. Go ahead, like, comment, subscribe, do your thing. As always, thank you so much for joining. This was a blast. And as always, I'll catch you in the next one. Yes, sir.